Alright, we are back for another day of IEM Katowice coverage. We continue to get nothing but banger games as one of the biggest tournaments of the year is delivering in pretty much every way you could imagine. Now there were some games of less note today, that's for sure, but when things hit, they hit real hard. Our lineup for today saw GamerLegion take on the Mongolz, MOUZ take on Team Liquid, Furia take on Astralis, NAVI face up against Spirit, Eternal Fire take on the French in 3D Max, and finally, a galactic grudge match of elimination, G2 versus Faze. Things are going strong. I'm starting to see Counter-Strike every time I close my eyes. That's how you know we're really in the thick of it in a tournament. So let's not waste any more time. Make sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as it helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm. When this video goes up, I should be live over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/LionHeartZ2, hopefully praying Premiere, and hopefully not falling asleep in my chair. So do me a real solid and come on by and drop a follow. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the games. Alright, so I want you guys to bear with me for the first part of this video. The first three series for today, I really don't have that much to say. So I'm just going to give you the scores, some of the highlights, and then we're going to move on to the last three where I really do have a shit ton to go through, alright? So, starting off, GamerLegion versus the Mongolz. GamerLegion have been on a fantastic run. Unfortunately, the Mongolz are arguably a top 5 team by firepower, and that difference in ability was simply too much for GamerLegion to summon. While they put up a great fight on Nuke, losing 13-10, on Mirage they got swept out of the server 13-5. Pretty much everybody on the Mongolz was in the server getting frags, whether it was Blitz, Mazzino, 910, Senzu, it didn't matter. Top to bottom, unfortunately, GamerLegion were just out of their league. Again, that shouldn't be taken as an indictment on an otherwise very fun, very exciting young roster. If GamerLegion had managed to beat the Mongolz, it would have been an insane upset. They did as well as I would have expected. We then had MOUZ taking on Team Liquid, and I don't know what you guys want from me here. This was a very nothing series. Liquid weren't pressed whatsoever because MOUZ are playing with a stand-in, and they're playing with Brolin trying to become an in-game leader, and everything's a mess. 13-7 on both maps on Nuke and Ancient. Again, a very forgettable series, so I will instead spend a second talking about this podcast clip of Jimmy, where he said willingly and of his own volition that people had speculated we had some really big problems, but that's not the case. I think Shuhi's calling is maybe not something we wanted in MOUZ. As a team, we were looking to play a little bit different. So, the MOUZ situation is now exactly what we thought it was, where once again, a team that was vying to be one of the best in the world, the moment they started to struggle, they decided to axe their fucking in-game leader instead of trying to rebuild around him. How many times is this going to happen to good teams before people learn that the first person you shouldn't cut is your proven in-game leader? Holy fuck, MOUZ are dumb. Like, listen, is there some vague hope for MOUZ in the future? Sure. Once Spinks gets into this roster, their firepower is going to be fucking nuts. But I will argue till the heat death of the universe that there is no combination of firepower on MOUZ that would be better than Spinks coming in, somebody else going out, and Shuhi coming back into the roster. MOUZ have just consigned themselves to the G2 vortex for the next however many months. Wow. Fuck you, MOUZ. Speaking of teams that give me headaches to talk about, we then had Furia taking on Astralis, and while this series did go to 3 games, I was not remotely interested at any point. These teams aren't very fun for me to watch. Caserado continues to have struggle performances, especially in big games like this, and Furia got eliminated in 3 games. They lost on Inferno 13-10, they bounced back with a win on their home map on Dust 2 13-8, and then on Nuke, Astralis managed to close things out in regulation 13-11. Again, not a very remarkable series to me. Skull's top fragged for the series with 53 kills, further showcasing how much more comfortable he is playing with his countrymen, there's no doubt about that, but Caserado goes negative for the series, ends with 39 kills, 41 deaths, and a 0.9 rating. On the final map, he bottom fragged, going 12-15, and that's just not gonna cut it. On the other side, Astralis, pretty much cooking up what we've seen from them in their wins, where Stown, Yabby, and Stare all look great, Device has his moments of impact, and Cadian is calling a good side. Even though he can't do it individually, his strats look very solid. Astralis are still in the hunt to make it into the Spodek, but Furia are going home, and with that, we can now talk about some series with some really good substance. The first one on that chopping block was the nuclear long-awaited rematch between NAVI and Spirit. Spirit very much at the peak of their powers, and NAVI scrapping to prove themselves that they are still a definitive top 3 team in the world. And once the dust has settled, NAVI did the impossible. They beat Spirit. They finally handed them their first series loss since going back to the major, and it was a 3-game epic. So let's take this one map at a time. Starting off on Mirage, things were about as close as you could possibly ask for. Both teams were taking great opening feints and thrusts on that first half. NAVI were operating an excellent T-side, taking map control, limiting the ability for Donk and Shiro to own mid entirely, and making really effective takes onto the B site. Of course, it's absolutely impossible to put a cap on Donk entirely nowadays, as he ends this series with 71 fucking kills, but he started off this one with a more tepid, restrained 17 and 15. Really, it was Zontix who was doing the majority of the killing on that first half. They just ended up going towards Zontix and Magix on B more often than they were going A, which makes sense. I wouldn't want to fuck with Donk around connector either. Now, where things got absolutely out of hand is in the second half, where, of course, we must first start off by talking about Donk's fucking unreal 1v5 clutch on the A side. Like, okay. He is the best player on the planet by an incredibly wide margin. Like, dude, there's only so many times I can do tricks on it. He's so good. And if you don't like Donk, you don't like Counter-Strike. You're just being biased. His game is just so fun to watch. Even Simple in his prime, I don't think he could have done this as cleanly. Simple was an amazing pistol player. Donk is already building a case as one of the best pistol players of all time. Snacks. Anyways, you would figure that's a huge catalyst for momentum. This would be the springboard for Spirit to strike out with a captivating T-side and really take it to NAVI, a team on the back foot. Spirit only won one more round for the rest of the game, actually. And Donk himself, who got, 5 kills in that first round, ended off the second half with only getting 3 more. In no uncertain terms, NAVI played lockdown, lights out defense. And honestly, it was kind of a combination of everyone finding good moments of impact. Bit was just hitting great shots throughout the game. He was basically a one-man fortress on the A site. Emma is just such a great flex and rotator piece. He's pretty much everywhere he needs to be. He gets 12 kills on the half. JL playing with a mask on because I thought he was sick. Turns out he was just missing a tooth. Very funny. But JL also goes on to be one of the most important aspects of NAVI winning this series, right behind Emma with 10 kills himself in the second half. There was just nowhere for Spirit to go. Their takes through mid, they didn't work. Their B hits, they didn't work. They got grinded up on the A side. This was just a beautiful showcase of the NAVI that dominated Counter-Strike for so long last year, where there is no holes. You were just getting pinched and squeezed into a corner at every turn, and unless you bring some tactical fucking excellence, or do some shit that only Donk could do, you're getting shut out. And that's what happened here. This was a disgraceful second half CT side from NAVI, roaring out to a 13-8 map 1 win. Unfortunately for NAVI, the second map in the series was on Dust 2. Spirit's best map. Donk's best map. And again, I only have so many paths in the human vernacular to say that Donk did Donk and he was donking all over NAVI in a Donk way that only Donk could do. So instead, we must turn our focus into the second half, where finding themselves down 6-11, NAVI needed an X Factor. And that X Factor was one Mr. J Legend. This is form from JL that we simply haven't seen since going back to before the Blast World Finals when NAVI started slumping. He was one of the players who dropped off the worst during this down period for NAVI, and seeing him roar back to life here, so many impactful multi-kill rounds on the T side, was fantastic, because Emma and Bit have been the same. They have never switched up, they have never fallen off, they've always put out steady, consistent numbers, and have never been the problem for NAVI. The X factors for NAVI that led to their dominance was Wonderful and JL. Wonderful, he's been up and down, he still has his moments. It's JL who's fallen off a cliff. And he maintains his form here on Dust 2 throughout the rest of the series, and it was incredible. He had a 13 kill second half that helped NAVI go on a late 5-round stretch to make this game close. Had things not fallen apart at the 11th hour for Spirit to grab match point, NAVI were looking good to come from behind and potentially 2-0 Spirit. It wasn't meant to be in the end, but seeing these signs from JL are so reassuring if you're a NAVI fan, especially because he continued that production onto a pivotal map 3 on Nuke where in overtime, NAVI managed to hand Spirit their first series loss. And again, this felt like vintage NAVI for this roster, where down the stretch, they found themselves down 8-11, and things just shifted. The paradigm moved in their favor. From 8-11 to a 16-14 win, NAVI went on an 8-3 run against Spirit, where their CT side holds were basically perfect all the way until they swapped sides in the overtime. There were no weak links. There were no massive openings given over to the Spirit players. They kept Donk in firm check. It was wonderful. It was Bit, it was Emma, or it was JL. One of those four players was just not going to allow Spirit to get too much damage off. Now, of course, it wasn't flawless. Spirit sniped match point in round 22 off the back of a great Zontix 3K. We're in the 2v2 post plant. Wonderful and Bit attempted the retake, splitting through Hut and Heaven. Zontix back behind Asia. He got both picks. An excellent hold with him and Magix, especially on a round where Donk dies very early on trying to accelerate through Secret on his own and make a play happen. Spirit's limited success towards the end of this game really only came off the back of true heroics, like Shiro in the overtime with a great op 4K on the lower bomb site, but outside of that, the big thing that NAVI did here was limit the damage. Very rarely towards the end of this game were Spirit able to get uncontested multi-kills. The trades were always in the right moment. JL wasn't getting exploited on the upper bomb site. Wonderful wasn't missing shots rotating around with the op. This was just the NAVI machine. The NAVI machine that was the best team in the world. And the fun part to me, because I've seen some people in my comments talk about this, Spirit may be far and away the best team in the world, but they're not perfect. They're not Astralis levels of dominant in the sense that you have no hope of beating them. They're incredibly dominant by their firepower. So if you can meet that firepower in the face and limit it or outpace it, yes, you can beat this team. Spirit aren't unbeatable. I think that's what makes this so interesting, because now NAVI have thrown their hat back in. If they can maintain this form, then they are another team like Vitality, or even like a Faze or a Mongolz, who can really contend to win championships right now. Spirit, they're still number one, but they got shown today that the dragons can still bleed. Speaking of bleeding dragons, Eternal Fire are just looking a little bit like Cell after he takes that final flash from Vegeta. They're hurt. They're definitely hurt. But should have gone for the head. 3D Max had an unreal chance to 2-0 Eternal Fire. They absolutely shit on them on Inferno 13-4. Like, destroyed, did merde. Like, the baguette of truth was wielded with authority here. Nothing more needs to be said. We'll move on to Anubis. Eternal Fire, probably the best Anubis team in the world, right? And you know, 3D Max, they're getting their ass handed to them. Not only did they get blitzed on that first half T side, going down 8-4, they lost the pistol round, including the conversions and the first gun round, before they can get around on the board. They ended up on match point 12-5. And then 3D Max, with all the gusto you could possibly imagine, win 7 fucking rounds straight to force it to overtime. I was, game on the other monitor, watching the beginning of the Faze series on my main, right? That's where I was. I look over at Eternal Fire, I see 12-5 on Anubis. I look over, I see Faze caught on my other monitor. These choices are easy. I'm watching the Faze game because Eternal Fire are definitely fucking winning. In between, I think it was like halftime on the first map of G2 Faze. Go look at Eternal Fire. Why the fuck is this in overtime? Like, that's crazy. I understand Anubis is T-sided, but like, that's crazy, dude. Like, you needed to finish this game, 3D Max, after that comeback. The T-side takes were layered, they were dense. You guys kept Zontaras in a box, even though Jada was having a fucking unreal game, something we'll touch on in just a second. You managed to keep the damage low. You exploited the B site well enough, good mid fakes. You did everything right. Begin to overtime, and you guys only win one more round before Eternal Fire reverse sweeps the overtime 4 straight rounds, and we're moving on to a third map. Like, you guys needed to finish the game there, dude. And your T-Signs, they couldn't get anything done in that OT after so much success, and that's painful. Like right here, it's 13-13. You're through mid. You've got everything on hold. You're seeing what plays out. And then Joko just lances Zontares with a crazy jiggle peek, just deletes him. And now the windows are open. You can go through to A or you can pinch through the B. You decide to push into Major. Major just gets one. You trade him out right away. And now the rest of your players, they're falling through Temple. No big deal. You got Woxic on the back foot. You just got to get by him. But Woxic, doesn't really miss those shots that often, gets the first shot on gravity, falls back. He's got Jada right behind him. You don't really have the flashes yet to get by him. You got to get onto the side and get the bomb down. He hits another stunner on Exercise coming through E-Box. That gives you guys a gap to try and get the bomb down. And then it's a 2v2, 2v3 in the post plant. You go immediately into the boost with Maka. Maka misses a shot he needed to hit there. Jada pushing forward, catches Maka looking the wrong way before Lucky can trade him out. And in the 1v2, he can't do it against Wakadia. Right there, if you just take out Woxic a little bit sooner, you have the round. Maybe things are different from there on. But again, you waited too long. EF, they used the Piccolo cells. They regenerated that arm. They won the map. And then we go to Dust 2. The playbook of Counter-Strike reads, don't play Eternal Fire on Dust 2. Don't play a French team on Dust 2. What happens when you clash the immovable object and the unstoppable force? Well, Eternal Fire win 13-10. And in the background, you're watching the most painful round of Counter-Strike that a French team has watched in many, many years. 11-10 scoreline. You have the money, 3D Max. You have Eternal Fire on a disaster force buy with just one rifle, a scout, a bunch of 5.7s. You even catch Eternal Fire players pushing up mid. You end up in a 3v5 situation. There's no way in fucking hell you guys should be able to lose this round from here. And you guys lost the round. Disaster. Unbelievable. The French, they've retreated at the last second. The baguettes are waving in the air. It's all over again. Paris has fallen. Again, a hell of a performance from 3D Max. A bit unlucky that you even had to draw Eternal Fire in this game. Virtus Pro, they just stunned them yesterday. And 3D Max, you look real good. I'm constantly impressed by your firepower. I continue to underrate you in every matchup. You had such a good shot to win this series. Eternal Fire, they stay alive. And all that leaves us, the best for last. We have Faze taking on G2. Elimination game. Winner stays in. Loser gets on the plane with Nico. Who would survive? Well, spoiler alert, it was Faze. Thank God. Now, I'm probably going to surprise many of you in my audience, because this series is a tale of two G2s. I'm going to give G2 a lot of credit for how they played through pretty much all of this series up until the second half on Nuke. We'll save the Snacks bashing for then. But, in the interest of fairness, I think Snacks called a much more dynamic, fluid, and put together game than pretty much anything else I've seen from his entire tenure with the team. There were more attempts at mid-round calls, there were more attempts at more complex strategies, they were able to control the pace at various points, they've recovered from slumps out of timeouts very well, and I feel like for once, G2 utilized its pieces, its very, very good pieces, to incredible effect. I do not have many notes in terms of Snacks' failings in this series, again, till we get to Nuke later. First thing we're going to talk about on Ancient, so one thing everyone really focuses on Twitter, Snacks called a damn good fake here, late in the game, that helped G2 go on a late run to get things to overtime. Now, I don't think it's the most innovative fake in the world, in fact, I think it simply was a great mid-round call. Down 12-8, they're on the eco, they get this gap where they find Rain poking over the top of the B ramp boxes. After Rain gets traded out in the 4v4, they try to extend towards caves. The B smokes are going out, alerting Faze that this is going to be a split B push. But in a moment of cunning, not really knowing how many players are in mid or trying to push through in the caves, Snacks and Elise walk by each other as Snacks pushes out to Jaguar to clear it. He catches Frozen looking the wrong way. When he kills Frozen, he makes the immediate call to take things to A, as every other Faze player has rotated to reinforce B. That's a simple, great mid-round call. I have no issues whatsoever with how that round plays out, and it was a great call in the moment by Snacks. I do think things remain relatively simplistic afterwards, but on a map like Ancient, that's not even that bad of a thing. However, there were some failed post plants, especially on the A site late, that cost G2 the ability to win this game in overtime, while on the Faze side of things, we had an elite performance from Bubblesj with 27 kills and a 1.46 rating, you had great timely retakes by Rain, you had moments of good impact out of Frozen, Brokey, and even Kerrigan, and overall, the firepower spread for Faze was simply a little bit better. This was a forgettable game for m0NESY, and that definitely made the difference, especially down the stretch in overtime. Alright, no big deal. We're going to Inferno, a map that has vexed Faze quite a lot and also been a sign of strength for G2. However, in my opinion, not nearly as much in the post-Nico era. However, G2 still had a great win here, 13-10. The one thing I want to analyze here, just very briefly, because again, most of our focus here is going to be on Nuke, is that on Inferno, there were two very key rounds that were the difference maker in G2 winning. Back-to-back 1v3 clutches that Brokey and Frozen nearly won. Had either of these gone Faze's way, this is probably a 2-0. That's just the reality of the situation, and honestly, Faze should never have been in a position to win those rounds. Those 1v3s being as close as they are just speaks to the individual greatness that was on display. I think G2 otherwise had a very good CT side where they limited Faze's damage of Banana. Once again, I don't have much to criticize here. I think this was G2 piloting itself as effectively as I have seen Snax do it in the post-Nico tenure. Unfortunately, this is where the praise falls short, because on the second half of Nuke, we saw pretty much exactly what the fuck I've been saying about the issues with Snax in broad, full display, Ultra HD, 4K, and we're gonna go through them one by one. Alright, second half pistol. This one's pretty straightforward. What's gonna happen here? G2 wants to go for a simple split ramp push. They want to have Heavy God make the vent dive with the squeaky smokes. Elise spoils Heavy God's play by getting an immediate kill, leaving G2 on the back foot. However, as things rotate through lower, MOUZ hits a killer double outside of the vents before Hunter takes out all three remaining Faze players holding down on the back of the site by himself with the bomb plant. Great plays from Hunter and MOUZ to get those key headshots from a 3v5 position to win this round. Very important for the momentum it would generate should G2 be able to convert the following anti-eco. Pretty straightforward start. G2 are going to throw the secret cross smokes, they're going to creep outside, they're going to get down secret. Rain, already ahead of it, holding there with the 5-7, is going to get one pick before being traded out. And then on the follow-up, Hunter is going to find Elise squidging down the vents, putting G2 in a 4v3 situation that's equalized into a 3v3 as Frozen finds Heavy God on the lurk. However, nobody was quite clearing decon as the bomb was going down. Kerrigan squeaks down the vent, gets by all the players, and catches the bomb planter, not clearing the site fully. Kerrigan gets the bomb off of Hunter's back and on the ground, turns around and erases Snax's entire existence with a 5-7 headshot, leaving MOUZ in a 1v3 that he cannot conquer. Bit of lazy clearing from G2, but it happens, and Faze equalized the pistol round loss with a win of their own. We move on to the next round. G2 buying back again, the Force by War is in full effect, and honestly, this is a pretty good call. I have no problems with this initial call here. 5-man, ramp rush, catch them on a timing, you catch Frozen throwing a grenade so he's on the back foot already, you kill him and you get that lower side control right away, you hold Kerrigan to just one kill coming through the vents before you trade him out, and then MOUZ has a great hold with the AK on the ramp rotators. So honestly, great round from G2, you caught the momentum back. Once again, if you win this following round, you force Faze into a save, you gain control both in terms of the lead and the economy, and this game gets so much more interesting. So G2, after that successful ramp push, what's next? Okay, posturing towards ramp early, no big deal, holding the lobby control, you got MOUZ outside kind of lurking. What's the play? This is going to be like a split upper, or they're going to work back towards outside late. They faked out the intel, what are they going to do with it? They're going to hold a little bit, make sure lobby doesn't get overrun. It makes sense. G2 are waiting to make some kind of play. Maybe MOUZ is going to start extending. They're going to start getting some intel towards outside, draw some attention away. The G2 players, they're coalescing around ramp. They haven't really done anything else, so maybe they're just going to go for another ramp push. Faze seems to be rotating into it, though. I don't know how advised this is. Okay, 4-man ramp rush while MAPS holds outside. Let's see how that goes, and utterly fucking obliterated. Okay. MOUZ is now on his own in an impossible to win round. So that was bad because you didn't draw any attention elsewhere. There was at no point where Faze worried about anything. They held, and when nothing happened for like 40 fucking seconds, they reinforced ramp because that was the only thing that was left open. So, brick wall, good job. Okay, next round, force buy, tie game, no big deal, makes sense. You got 2 AKs, you can make that work. You got the personnel for this G2. Why? Looks like you guys are trying to go ramp again. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe we're just posturing towards ramp. Maybe we're gonna go back upper. I mean, we're gonna go outside. Maybe try. Oh, you got Snax going outside. Okay, all right. Snax can get some intel out there. I believe in Snax to be able to do that. Sure. Kind of feels like you guys are trying to go ramp again. I don't know about a third straight up 4-man ramp rush. That seems a little ill-advised. But okay, we can see how this goes. Okay, Snax got down secret. All right, Snax getting some intel. All right, you've pushed Brokey off a ramp, so there's a little bit of room here. Snacks dies in lower, that's not good. And yeah, I mean, they're ramp pushing lower again. Faze really rotate into this. Kind of seems a little ill-advised. Frozen and Liege are in a great spot to deny this, and yeah, first pick from Frozen, countered by a Liege. Liege gets traded out, no big deal. Frozen gets the third for the round, and MOUZ are the 1v4. Okay, so maybe we shouldn't go ramp again, guys. Okay, no big deal. You gotta save one. That's fine. There's still time to make this work. Get to the next round, 10-8 scoreline. Let's see what the next full buy's like. All right. Already, I'm liking things a little more. You have Hunter accelerating through boost on the outside smokes, drops down on top of Mini, finds himself a pick right away. Good. Why is everyone else going towards ramp? Why are we going back towards ramp, G2? Why are we going ramp again? Brokey's right there. No, don't do it. Why is no one checking the back of ramp? Why is Brokey just able to get these picks? Why? And out of nowhere, from an advantage situation, it becomes Heavy God in a 1v3. Like, I'm sorry, dude. I wanted to be nice to Snacks, but he pissed away the second half by going ramp 5 fucking times in a row, dude. You can't make that up. That's like we have no ideas. Let's just default ramp over and over and hope it works. Oh, I'm done. G2 get eliminated. Faze get handed their fucking win on a silver platter. Oh man, please let this be the end of Snacks. Please, dude. I can't keep doing this. Anyways, Faze stay alive. I like that. Frozen was incredible in this series. I also like that. Please shine, Shuhei. Anyways, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I have a headache now. It helps out in the YouTube algorithm and helps me feel better about the situation. Thank you to my channel members, Justin, Jesse, Furley, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Dr. Cocktor, Patatas Kaftesi, PTR, B1 Games, Cody Foxworthy, and Justin Vander Veit. If you want to become a channel member, you can do so at the link in the description down below. For $5 a month, you can support me directly, get your name at the end of the video just like this, as well as a role in our community Discord. Also, come follow me on Twitch. As soon as this is done editing and uploading, I'll be there streaming, playing Premiere, and trying not to think anymore about G2. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.